Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and today I'm going to be recommending to you some Irish young adult and middle grade books. I want to start off this video by just apologising if you can hear drilling in the background. Our next door neighbour has been doing really annoying loud DIY for literally months, but I have waited for him to be quiet and it just hasn't happened. So anyway, if you've been participating in the Irish Readathon, I just want to say thank you so much. I have seen so many vlogs, I have seen so many posts on Instagram and Twitter of people joining in with the readathon, and it's just made me so happy this month. Like a lot of people, you know, I'm struggling a little bit at the moment, you know, the world being the way it is, it has been, you know, a little bit upsetting. So seeing so many people joining in with this passion project of ours, this readathon that we love so much, it has just made me so happy, so thank you. And if you do still want to join in with the readathon, despite us being at the tail end of the month now, all you need to do to participate in the readathon is read just one Irish book in March, so you do still have time to join in if you would like to. As I said, today I'm going to be talking about young adult and middle grade books, but this list is by no means extensive of all the amazing Irish children's writing that there is. I tried to stick to books that I actually had on my shelves, so I haven't mentioned any like Pádraig Kenny, I haven't got any Cat Doyle books here, Under the Hawthorn Tree. I recently read Caroline O'Donoghue's debut young adult novel, All Our Hidden Gifts, which I absolutely loved. But my main recommendations today, I'm going to be sticking with books that I have on my shelves. And I'm going to be kicking things off with The Lotteries More or Less by Emma Donoghue. This is the second book in a duology. The first book is The Lotteries More or Less, but you can read them independently. And this is such a fantastic middle grade book. Most of you would probably know Emma Donoghue for her books for grown-ups, whether that is Room or The Wonder or The Pull of the Stars. But the Lotteries books are about this amazing blended family where there are two fathers who wanted to have children and two mothers who wanted to have children. And these families come together with children from a lot of different backgrounds. The parents are from a lot of different backgrounds. And we're just following the lives of this beautiful blended family. This one in particular is set around the Christmas season and it's just joyful and has this amazing seamlessly included representation. It's not set in Ireland, I think it's set in Canada, but Emma is of course an Irish writer. Sticking with the middle grade, I would like to recommend to you a series. So this one starts with A Place Called Perfect by Helena Duggan. This is the first book in the series. And this is quite a creepy, strange middle grade series. In this first book, we are following Violet and her family as they move to this town called Perfect, where there's just some very strange things going on. It's a town where everyone has to wear glasses to prevent them from going blind, and then Violet's father goes missing. She meets another character named Boy, and her conversations with him lead her to discover that her dad isn't the only one who's gone missing. It's very creepy. I would kind of describe it as a melting pot of Neil Gaiman's Coraline with a series of unfortunate events, with Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Tim Burton film kind of vibes. I've only read the first two books in this series, but I'm really excited to read the third one. I'd also really like to recommend The Surface Breaks by Louise O'Neill. As you know, Louise O'Neill is one of my favourite authors and I've spoken about her books a lot recently, including a specific author spotlight video that I did on her books, so I'll leave that linked in the cards and in the description as well. But this is a reimagining of The Little Mermaid that really brings out some feminist themes in it, and I don't really think I need to say more than that. I'd also really like to recommend One by Sarah Crossan. This is a young adult novel that is told in verse. So if you've read a lot of Elizabeth Acevedo books recently, like I know a lot of us have, and you haven't checked out Sarah Crossan yet, I would really recommend it. She has a lot of young adult books told in verse, but the first one that I ever read from her has continued to be my favourite. This is the story of Grace and Tippy, who are conjoined twins, and it follows them going to a new school and looking at that experience and how both girls feel about that experience and how they struggle to have any kind of sense of independence because they are always together. It explores themes of friendship and love and what it means when you are in circumstances like these two girls, and it follows a very difficult decision that they need to make. As I said, this is kind of an overall author recommendation for Sarah Crossan, and she also has an adult book out now called Here is the Beehive, but One is definitely my favourite of her books. Of course, I'm going to recommend The Henna Wars. I read this book recently. It was our group read for the readathon and I loved it so much. It was exactly the kind of young adult book I wish was around when I was a teenager. This is a female-female romance between Nishat and Flavia, and it follows them coming to understand their own sexualities, but also the conflict between these two characters when there is a business competition at their school and they both decide to run henna businesses. And Nishat views Flavia as beginning this henna business as being culturally appropriative. And I think these conversations were handled in such a fantastic way in this book. I know Adiba is going to be become an author by author for me. She has another book coming out later this year, which I'm gonna get my hands on immediately, and then next year she has a Titanic inspired book coming out, and also a Bake Off inspired female romance. Just anything that she writes, I am gonna read. I have more gay books. This is The Space Between by Meg Grehan, which is another YA book that is told in verse. And this is a love story between two teenage girls, but it is also a story of mental health struggles and anxiety. Beth is a character who suffers a lot of anxiety around leaving her house and really doesn't want to leave her house. And we follow what happens when she begins to welcome a girl named Alice into her life. This was so cute. It was just heartwarming, female, teenage, falling in love, gorgeousness. I haven't read Meg's second book yet, and I really should. I'm also going to recommend Perfectly Preventable Deaths by Deirdre Sullivan. Actually, this is just kind of an overall Deirdre Sullivan recommendation as well, because I would also like to recommend Tangleweed and Brine by her and Savage Her Reply. These two are definitely on kind of, I would say, the older end of young adult, and I think adult readers would definitely get a lot out of these. Tangleweed and Brine is a fantastic collection of fairy tale retellings that really bring out feminist themes, and Savage Her Reply is a retelling of a classic Irish myth called The Children of Lear, and these really give voice to female characters. But Perfectly Preventable Deaths was one of my favourite books in the year that I read it. We follow 15-year-old twins Madeline and Caitlin, who move to a strange, isolated Irish town, and this town has quite a hidden history of young girls going missing. Caitlin begins to fall in love with someone. She's definitely the more kind of outgoing of the two sisters, and Madeline is very concerned for her sister's welfare, becoming involved with this boy, and gradually Madeline is also realizing that she has some sort of powers that she doesn't quite understand, and it is those powers that could end up saving her sister's life. There is also some female romance in this book as well. So big up to all my Irish writers bringing out those sapphic themes. They are all of the books that I'm going to recommend to you today, but as I said, there is so much incredible Irish children's and middle grade and young adult writing out there. This is just like some of the books that were on my shelves. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you have read any of these books, what you thought about them. If there are any books that you want to learn more about, they will be linked down below in the description. Let me know what you're reading at the moment, whether it is an Irish book or not. I would love to hear what you are reading at the moment. I hope you guys are doing well, and I will speak to you in my next video.